When this project started, I was national president of Chinese American Citizens Alliance from 2013 to 2017. Most of our loyal membership were these individuals, mostly men, who came back from the war and joined our organization with the hope that they would contribute towards civil rights. So I said, what can we do for these men and women who are part of C.A.C.A, who also are World War II veterans? You have to find people who have a passion for wanting to recognize their father, their mother, their grandmother, grandfather, uncles, aunts, brothers, and sisters. Many people ended up coming forward and said, you know, I need to honor my veteran in my family. In the House, we have 85 of the 290 that we need.
Yes.
So the advocacy work that we did on the Hill, and I will tell you in the second year, is where we had a great change in what happened to us. We were able to contact retired military officers at the highest level. Many of them were 1- and 2-star major generals, as well as rear admirals who were retired, and they decided to come walk the Hill with us.
I got volunteered. My first exposure to C.A.C.A was in May of 2017 when we assembled in Washington. Certainly the highest civilian award bestowed by Congress, that was worthy a goal for us. We'd like to ask for your help in asking that your boss co-sponsor this bill. Chinese American World War II veterans as a group were largely forgotten, ignored, or excluded. And yet where 20,000 Chinese Americans served, about 40% were non-U.S. citizens because of that 1882 Exclusion Act. Nice meeting you.
Right. Nice meeting you too, and thank you for your service.
All right.
Thank you.
They volunteered or were drafted and served to fight for America. This is recognition that was long overdue.
The bill had to be sponsored by Senators Tammy Duckworth on the Democrat side from Illinois, and then we had a senator from Mississippi. On the House side, Representative Ed Royce and then Representative Ted Lieu, both from California. In order to have passed this type of bill, you need 2/3 of the Senate, which would have been 67 senators, and then you would need 290 House representatives.
The Senate is a smaller number. Let's get the 67 in the Senate and let that provide the momentum to get to the House. And of course, in 2018, we accomplished that in one session of Congress. And if we didn't and tried the following session, we'd have to start all over again.
We probably would have had about only 2 to 3% of them alive. Without the help of a lot of individuals, where they're writing letters, calling their district offices, coming to the Hill to walk with us, to make these visits, it's impossible to persuade anyone that you're really serious about getting this bill passed.
The design committee was headed by retired Major General Bob Lee. He got inputs from us and orchestrated a very participative process. When you look at Chinese American World War II veterans, they served in every theater of war on land, air, and sea. And so we depicted that: ground combat, land platforms, the Sherman tank, the USS Missouri, the P-40 Flying Tiger. On the front side, a soldier in the Army, a pilot in the Army Air Forces, a sailor in the Navy, a Marine Corps representative, and then Coast Guard and Merchant Marine. And we also had a nurse to represent females who served in the Navy, Army, and Army Air Forces. Inscribed on the CGM are also the words, "Proudly served as Americans."
These are such important symbols because they're to be handed down. And I always give the challenge to the next of kin. It's their job now to make sure that the story of your dad, your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather, who served during World War II is not forgotten. I would say that we have missed out as Chinese Americans. We were not able to have 1,000 Chinese American faces in front of the United States Congress to have that ceremony there. That's something that other groups have had the opportunity to do. The COVID period unfortunately robbed us of that. But nonetheless, Speaker Pelosi was able to present the 1 gold medal.
We have a photo that is captured for history. Lined up in back of the living veterans were 10 Chinese American generals and admirals. Nowhere in the history has that group ever assembled. I was in a number of ceremonies: Fairfax, Virginia, the national ceremony, then Philadelphia, New York City, as well as the Boston ceremony. There was something common to all of these. It was really the living veterans who were very proud of their service. What we have done, unfortunately, that's not enough. How do we sustain this so that future generations can learn about it in school, follow in the footsteps to help preserve this legacy?
People have talked about this being America's greatest generation. Well, let's not forget that Chinese Americans were also part of that generation as well. And no one should be lesser just because they were not part of the larger picture of what people perceive to be the American story, because this is our story as well. And it's not because we're Chinese, it's because we are Americans.